Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I'm Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies. Hello.
Excellent morning.
How are you guys doing?
Amazing.
So this week, we're all here together because Nima is on leave, right?
Yeah.
So it's all... So what happened yesterday, I would say?
Okay, you know, there's this video that has been circulating about we needing sleep so that our brains can function well. So I saw the video and I sent it to our group. I don't know how many of you took time to watch the video. So I told myself
Mabudu shared it on her page. Everybody's watching it.
That it helps you for your memory so that you can remember things and your brain. So you need at least 8 hours sleep as an adult. But I remembered growing up, they told us an adult shouldn't sleep so much, that you're wasting time that you're supposed to be making money. So I told myself that, okay, I need to be having at least, because I normally do 6 hours. At least 8 hours sleep. I slept yesterday by 9:30. I'm trying to see how I can sleep earlier than 9:30, maybe 8:30, and get that 8 hours sleep at least.
24 hours in a day. By the time you are sleeping 1/3 of the day, you have slept 1/3 of your life. So you have to be extremely effective in the 1/3 that you're using to work. If not,
even if you are sleeping for 6 hours, I mean, according to that video, it needs to be deep sleep.
yes.
There's some kind of sleep I just sleep.
You are
My own,
in.
I sleep sometimes, but it's not deep enough.
You don't feel refreshed after.
I don't feel refreshed after, and it's not deep because I'm constantly taking care of the child.
Baby,
Maybe I'm alert, all my senses are alert for any small movement.
As a mother, I don't even think you can have
that kind of deep sleep because I'm going to the older kids. I'm going to go check on the kids, make sure they are covering them. There's so much stuff you're doing. So which mother wants to have deep sleep?
I don't remember ever really sleeping deeply. I'm always just a snap away and I'm
up.
And for me, especially last night, NEPA brought the light hard and strong.
In the middle of night.
I blew out all my bulbs, all my electric wirings. I couldn't sleep. The AC was gone. The fan was gone. So I didn't sleep at all. Yes. See, I've got bags under my eyes. I'm really tired. Yeah. So that was what happened to me yesterday.
So there are wearables that can help with sleep, though. So I think for the past 2 years, I know how many hours I sleep on the average every day, because when you sleep, the wearable will tell you how many hours you actually spent in different stages of sleep. So even if you think you did not sleep well, it will tell you how many hours you slept in deep sleep. It will tell you how many deep sleep.
You're listening to technology. What's the app? Is an app?
An app will tell you whether you feel you have slept or not. The app will tell you have slept.
Whether you feel you've slept or not. The app, see, this thing is technology. It's like saying that you're arguing with the fact that you pick up your phone and talk to someone in America. It's not something you can argue with. It's a fact. They've done the device. When you wear it, my wristwatch would tell me what time I slept, what time I woke up, and it will tell me the variable, how many hours I woke up.
Types of sleep you had.
Even when Oga disturbs, I will see that I woke up at that time. So what I'm saying is, if you have it, it will help you know the quality of sleep you're having, and you can now start changing different things in your, because sleep is important, and it's not even just about
so
just
how can we get
eyes.
this device? Are you marketing?
My husband sells.
Now she has told us.
If you cannot sleep at 8 o'clock and know you slept in the morning, then you probably need a machine to tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you lie down on the bed for an hour before sleeping.
Yeah.
So you might, if you understand that happens consistently, then you can start changing your environment, changing the lights in the room, changing the ambience.
Take out the TVs from the room.
You know what? I understand technology and how it helps us, but sometimes we forget that what is most important is how you feel.
Right.
You wake up and you're tired. No matter what that app says, you're tired. You do not get enough sleep.
But let's not discredit the app. Let's not discredit the app. So once you can get the app, we can get the app. But I saw our governor yesterday. He invited a few media people to a media party. It was just to have a conversation, just to thank the media for being there for him, and as he hands over to the next governor. And it was interesting to see. I actually wanted to stand out to remind him of his first interview with us, where he danced. Was it the first one he danced?
He danced.
He danced, and he was happy. He was ready to take on the world. You know, he wanted to do so much. It was like this. I called him a teddy bear then, because this is cute guy. He was very cute, and he wanted to just come.
Everybody's optimistic.
And the first thing we saw him do was he wanted to get a truck. There was a bus accident, and he was there like, don't do that. We're like, uncle, it's going to be more than that. Oh, this Lagos, you need more than that. But we saw him
excited.
But how was the conversation?
It was nice.
Because I felt like we didn't have enough of him. We didn't see enough
Yes,
of
and
him.
I think a lot of feedback from the press was that going forward, he needs to engage the press more. But I think he's an action person. He says not to talk. He's an accountant, doesn't talk much. His own is just to do. And he didn't want to be too much in the papers because he felt that, listen, let me leave the way for Sanwo-Olu. The incoming. This week is about him because people wanted to ask him questions. He said he didn't allow questions because he felt that, listen, this week is for Sanwo-Olu. Let me not put anything out there and it's about me again. Let's leave it for the incoming. And he advised the media to support the incoming the best they can, the same support they gave to him. They should please give him all the support. And he's going to go and rest. Somebody night advised him to travel, put up his leg and get massage. People just laughed.
Go to the Caribbean.
It should not be like Borno governor that is spending many millions of naira putting adverts in every newspaper about what he has done. Every paper since last week has been carrying the schools
that he's building, that he built.
Maybe we need reminding sometimes.
No, but the budget, priorities. For me, what Borno governor is doing, it might come across as he's trying to let you know what he's done. But when you pay adverts on the front page for papers, when you still have people that are on the streets and are hungry in your community.
Children who are still on
yesterday was interesting because a lot of people were just talking about how the traveling now, coming back from the country, see the entire stretch, the road that was built, the airport road, the lights that was, so there are things he has done, and we shouldn't discredit that because of the issues that happened.
Totally.
So it's important that we celebrate our outgoing governor, and we'll welcome the new one tomorrow. We'll look forward to that and see a new administration. And hey, this Lagos State is one family regardless. So it's the same, not the same. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We have with us a broadcaster, Yinka Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mariah.
Be joining us on our paper review because you're a journalist now, so we feel that you should know these things now. So it shouldn't be so far away from you. Let's start with The Nation. Buhari rejects bid to stop EFCC from seizing assets. President seeks input from ICPC, NFIU, others on bill. Nigerians will soon know if I'm slow or not. Query over projects in 8.9 trillion budget. Jonathan advocates e-voting for confidence. Houseboy to die for murder in Lagos. And a picture here of kids having fun yesterday at the Children's Day. So let's start with the major headline. Buhari rejects bid to stop EFCC from seizing assets. Yes.
So the National Assembly is trying to pass this, or has passed this bill, but when it got to the president's desk, he refused to assent it. And the bill is to establish a Proceeds of Crimes Recovery and Management Agency called POCA. So POCA will supersede EFCC, ICPC, and all the anti-corruption agencies. It would stop EFCC from seizing assets of those who are undergoing, investigations. And then these agencies will be stopped from securing, freezing suspicious bank accounts. And also it will enable the courts have those who are being investigated, when their accounts have been frozen, to still be given like a reasonable living expenses. So people are saying...
They could also get back their money. So they can, if your property is frozen, you can also go back after a while and claim your property back.
Sorry, the people that we voted into the House of Assembly,
just before they leave.
The president is saying, see, this does not sound right to me. This was something that also I think South Africa and the UK had taken out of their own system. And he says this bill has to be looked into with ICPC.
It's interesting the speed of how our lawmakers make laws towards the time they are living. We see it in the House of Assembly, we see it in the National Assembly. It's really bizarre.
Especially when the policies are favorable to them. When the policies are favorable to protect them, it moves very fast. This is a government that is struggling. We already have multiple ministries doing the same job. So we're planning to streamline and they were planning to collapse EFCC and ICPC together because they're essentially doing the same thing. Now you want to create another one.
Don't mind, that was supervised. Let's move on. Let's talk about Nigerians who don't know if I'm slow or not. Our president is saying, who has that story? I read that. The president was saying, at an interview, was saying that people think he's slow. I'll be calling Bavago slow. Well, guess what? He's going to fast forward and fast track the judiciary and the police. So hopefully, because the issue we've seen is that these cases against criminals or alleged criminals are dragged either under the police investigation, not having enough information, or the EFC or the judiciary, where the case is taking longer than it should in court. So he's going to find a way to expedite that.
It's also here Nigerians to say, see, when you find when there are criminal activities going on around you, also please make those reports. But I like what he said. He says, we'll see in second term if I'm slow or fast. So let
me ask you, do you think the president will be faster this time around?
I just hope so, because for me, if you want my sincere opinion, I will tell you that most times his body language is always in the negative. And so I would expect him to take more action, which, well, what talk they say is cheap.
Right.
But let's see what's going to happen.
Let's move on to the punch.
Our former president is talking. So, no. Jonathan went to the launch of Nyesom Wike's book, and he spoke about the fact that Nigeria and Africa entirely needs to go into e-voting as a way to protect and ensure democracy, which we'll talk about later in the day.
They know how to say all these things when they are out of the office.
Well, you see, that goes back to the importance of National Assembly. They are the ones that will make the law. So the executive is just a small part of this. It's just a small part of this. We really need to make sure our lawmakers are the ones that can make to ensure that we have the electronic voting going forward. Moving on to the punch. Primary education and teacher shortage hits public schools. 28 states failed to recruit personnel. I saw the editor of Punches and I celebrated. I said, listen, fantastic job you're doing. And she's like, they're going to do more. So I'm excited about that. Police launched manhunt for hoodlums who killed customs officer in Lagos. PDP LCCI react as president says 2019 budget difficult to implement. How 47,000 artifacts are wasting away in aging National Museum. No single person should constitute poll petitions panel, says Jonathan. Disquiet as bill seeks to usurp EFCC ICPC powers. Insecurity, Buhari says community leaders, police have failed Nigeria. Rate Saraki Dogara low on patriotism. Okay, which story are we taking here? Major headline. Okay, the human interest. Let's start with that.
So, two hoodlums allegedly killed the superintendent of customs in Egbeda area, Gowon Estate, actually. They went into the house. He was there with his wife, Mr. Mato and Saide, and they left him injured at the end of the day. So he was rushed to the hospital and they confirmed him dead in the hospital. So some people are saying that he was assassins, while others are saying it was a robbery, case of armed robbery. So the police has launched an investigation, at least to find those people and let's know exactly what happened.
About this teacher's shortage, what's going on? Well, it's a continuation of yesterday, actually.
Okay, and then, as we said, Punch is just doing a lot on this investigation. So looking at education, primary school education especially, and it's bringing to our attention the scarcity of teachers in our schools, that over 28 states have failed to employ teachers since 2015. 2015 was the last time many states, over 28 states in Nigeria, employed teachers. We have in places like Ondo State where they need about 8,000 teachers. Of course, teachers also are not willing to work because first of all, they are underpaid and then they are owed salaries. Some of them in some states 10 months, they haven't been paid. And then it just sad story. So these teachers are now looking for side hustles. They are petty traders and things like that. And then there are some schools that there are only 3 teachers in the whole of that school. And those teachers are not even present all the time.
Really
sad story.
We need to declare a state of emergency on this education.
And that's why you find a lot of teachers, you know, they own their own private schools, and even in the remote areas, you find them having the little, you know, lessons and all that, just to supplement what is lagging in the
Vanguard. Insecurity, Salah celebrations cancelled in Daura. How our government Lagos, says Sanwo-Olu. Herdsmen activates traditional self-defense system at Peniferi, tells Yoruba. FG fulfills house pledge to Westerhoff. Oh, finally, they gave Westerhoff his 25-year old house. I mean, they were after, right?
They promised him.
Corrupt Nigerians will be after me in 2023, says Buhari. You spoke without knowledge of SIP. Mariam Voice replied Aisha Buhari. And Buhari signs 2019 budget into law. Okay, let's talk about the fact that Salah was cancelled in Daura. Who has that story?
I have the story. So, you know, there was a meeting with the governors, a closed-door meeting yesterday, and one of the results is the fact that in Daura, they will not celebrate the Salah because of the insecurity in the nation. A lot of places are being killed. I think one of the Daura heads was kidnapped recently, and in the light of that, it's just a day for them to commiserate with the families that have lost people. So there's no celebrations. All celebrations are suspended, so to speak. So that's basically what the story story is about. But the advisor to the president on social investments, Mrs. Miriam Weiss.
I was actually going to take that in, so, but go ahead.
Okay, you mentioned it there. Okay. Responded to the allegations by Aisha Buhari that the SIP implementation failed in the north. So she was saying that they had over 4.2 million indigents in that area, and they reached out to 290 beneficiaries. That if Aisha Buhari had taken time to look at the data, she would have seen
on Aisha Buhari's state,
Yes,
Adamawa,
yes.
not even the general north. Did not give us data on what happened in Adamawa.
Yes, that she had taken time to look at the data
12
presented.
local governments according to this report.
Yes,
Because
yes.
like Aisha was saying, only 1 out of 22 got.
Yes.
She said her auntie is 12 out
It's
of
12,
22.
yeah.
So, but 12, 22.
Oh, John.
At the same time. So I think they should just get their facts right. Let's see what's happening with that.
Okay, well, let's move on to Daily Sun. Let's want to take a story in Punch about insecurity. Buhari says community leaders, police have failed, and it was telling Budugara and Saraki. Go ahead.
They scored load on patriotism. So still within the interview we had with NTA, the interviewer asked him concerning the insecurity, and he said that these people are Nigerians, they live in the same community. He was holding the community leaders and the police responsible for the insecurity challenges in Nigeria. That was just the statement he made, that let's blame the police officers. He would be more on watching out on them, and then he would do what he knows how to do best. So they say, what will you do? The question was, so what would you do going forward, sir? He said, I'll do what I know how to do best. Which we don't know. which is what has got us so far to where we are now.
I'll tell you the answer to the question.
So, and then he's now pinpointing Dogara and Saraki that they're not patriotic to Nigeria, and I'm wondering, the people in your cabinet, let's remove the one in our eye before we.
Okay, Daily Sun. Buhari National Assembly padded 2019 budget with 578 billion naira.
Again.
Ninth Senate, I'll contest for Deputy Senate President, says Kalu. Buhari demands report from governors with security challenges. And EFCC orders kick against new anti-graft bill. Okay. Our president is requesting for a report from the governors on security challenges. Okay, let's move on. The Guardian. Why we disagree with you, National Assembly tells President. Buhari on Children's Day cautions kids against drug abuse. Right. So I think that's it we can take on front page review. When we come back, we have a lineup of topics, but we have to talk about a bit about Democracy Day, since it's tomorrow. And tomorrow is also TVC, Your Views anniversary. 6 years tomorrow, but we won't be talking too much about Democracy Day tomorrow because it's our day. So we'll just say a bit on democracy. And if
Okay, you want to do it in areas.
Yeah, as ahead.
In advance.
In advance, rather.
Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So tomorrow is Democracy Day, and there will be 20 years about democratic governance in Nigeria after 33 years of military rule. Now the question is, how have we fared from the issues that we've had in this country for so long? Joining us again is our broadcaster and journalist, Yinka Kenny. Welcome again to the show.
Thank you.
You can join the conversation 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect, please, hashtag YourViewTVC, so we can read your tweets. The reason why it's important to discuss this issue of democracy is because one of the complaints or the frustrations our president has expressed in recent times, like, listen, during the military era, if you wanted to get rid of corruption, it's a snap of the finger, because you know how to rally people out, throw them in prison, you pinpoint where the criminals are, you rally them up and take them away. But because we're in a democratic dispensation, these things is going to be a tedious process. You have to wait, you have to go through follow due process. So people are complaining that, can't you see the criminals? Yes, we can see the criminals. We want to arrest them, but they still need to go through the courts, which can take forever. So putting where we are in view, is this democracy we need? Or do we need some kind of draconian rule such that to give us that drastic turnaround, then we now instill democracy? Do we feel that this democracy is working for us to get us to the promised land? I would like you to start. Do you think is what we need right now? Is it working for us?
Well, let me start if I'm allowed to use the word comme ça, comme ça, you know, we have not yet gotten a balance. We need the democracy, yes, we do. But as a people, you know, as individuals, there are some things that we just need to get rid. Even the government also. You know, it's there's something about, I don't know if it is blacks or Africans, but just something that we just don't want things to work the right way. Now, in this part of the world, we're in a place where even from the toppest level, if I can say that, they disobey court orders. So what are we talking about? If, you know, he who comes to equity must do so with clean hands.
Yeah, but you see, I always, when people make it look like Africa is an African thing, it's a black thing, and I look at countries like Rwanda, we're all there. When Ghana did their own drastically, yes, we're not asking for that. But somebody stood up ground and said, you know what, we want a change. I'm not saying that's what we're looking for. What I'm saying is that let us talk to ourselves. You're about to say, let us there, Barawa. Is this something that is working for? Let me come to you, Tokwe. Do you think it's something that we continually need, or we should continue to push for, or find another autocratic setting?
Yeah, we mentioned this point.
I think that democracy so far has been good to Nigeria, because it is easy for us after 20 years to forget the 33 years before this 20 years, where people couldn't talk, where people were terrorized, where people were arrested, where there was no court that would even listen to you. Right. You know, my mom walked from Solo all the way to Mile 2 after the June 12 crisis. We had a terrible situation in Nigeria. So whether we like how the 20 years has felt for us, it might be questionable. We might think we could have fared better with better leadership. But overall, democracy is by far a better mode of government for us. Okay, so if
I hear you. If democracy is first, why are people generally impatient? Because we all celebrate how things are in the West. Oh, this is how it's done. Yeah. But we are not willing to let the process follow through with the process.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just go into that place. In the past 20 years, everybody was poor and only the military had money. Only the military had power. And in the past 20 years, we've seen many people go from nothing to something in a way that the disparity between the rich has increased so much that the poor have become so angry. So the discontent you're saying is, 1999 we're all hopeful. Everybody was waiting on Obasanjo like, this is a miracle worker. He's going to change Nigeria. He's going to transform everything. And 20 years later, we're waiting. What is happening? What is happening? And then some people are getting rich in our faces. That, I believe, is the reason most people are discontent and feeling impatient, because we see it worked for some people. Why is it not working for everybody?
All right, let me come to you.
So I think it's not the system of governments we operate that's our issue in the country. It's us. The people. So even if we have an autocratic government, it will still fail because it's us. So we should look at cleaning up ourselves. Now, if you go down the street, even a little child understands corruption. You get into the taxi cab and there's change in their drawer. They tell you there's no change because they want to make do with your money. You get into the filling station to buy fuel, and if you don't tip, you're not giving good service. So it has eaten deep into even the unborn child. So we as a people, we are not patriotic. Everybody thinks about themselves. Everybody wants to protect. Once my family is okay, I don't care what happens to every other person.
I hear you, but it seems we're talking about the branches. Who's going to talk about the root? What caused this in the first place? Somebody strategically did not invest in education. Somebody strategically did not invest in infrastructure. Somebody just felt, you know what?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah. So these are the frustrations that have happened over the years. That is letting that person that is cheating you at the gas tank not to give you the money that is required, because hey, he's frustrated. So let me come to Marion and I'll come back to you.
Yeah. So from mentioning that, I think, as we said, democracy is a process. It takes time. And the fact that we have, it can be a good thing and a bad thing when you have countries that you can look to and say, see what they're doing much better than we are. The thing is that when we look to their history, they have been through things that we're going through as well, and sometimes even worse. So we can, look to that as hope, like, okay, we'll get there someday, and it will take a process. And then there's another thing, that when you have someone who's already doing it, then you get to learn from their mistakes and also pick on the successes. But the thing is, as Obiajilu said, our mindset. Already there's a Nigerian thing in which we do everything. If it works, if everybody says it goes right, Nigerians will find a way to go around it. And that is our problem.
Let me take this call from Henry. Henry, are you there? From the US. Morning, Henry.
Yeah, good morning. I'm calling from US. This is my second time caller.
Welcome to the show.
I want to thank you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job. So I always have sleep to make sure that I follow you guys. I do appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Program. So about democracy in Nigeria, I mean democracy is good. But the thing is that you need to start from the family because in Nigeria, the whole moral issue has gone down, even in the family. When somebody do something, let's say your brother, you say, no, don't jail him, that's my brother. There will be a problem. Because of that, that's the problem we are struggling about democracy because Abril say something about we. Yeah, everything is in us. We have to start from the family. From the family, because your children, you need to tell them, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But that's the problem we're having in Nigeria. And nobody is sincere.
Thank you very much, Henry.
Thank
you very much.
A lot of people, when you tell them not to do this, they will. But when they come to US, you see them, they behave well.
They behave well. They know now.
Let me come to you. Do you agree with Henry?
Well, I do in some path, but you see, it's just like he said in the family setting. You know, when you are a parent and you do the wrong things, children, they will emulate the wrong thing, consciously or unconsciously. Now we run a system of government where governance is far from the people, where you have the president coming to Lagos and you clear all the trucks on the road. He doesn't know what's happening. He doesn't know your plight. He doesn't understand the traffic. Like yesterday, I had to get down from the car to trek all the way from Navdak to, God knows where. The old Lagos was jam-packed. He doesn't see it. You run a kind of a government that, even you don't even know those that are representing you, at the local level. So tell me, how do they know the plight you're going through?
So we have a chicken and egg situation. We can say that one side, let the people change. People are the problem. On the other side is the egg. Should the leadership change? And in some cases, they've had, apart from the French Revolution, I've not seen any place in history where it was the people that create the revolution. In most communities, is one person. In most cases, is one person that gets into that position and says, this stops now.
Exactly.
And we haven't had that level of leadership where somebody will say that this is the way Nigeria has been. But from now on, we are no longer the corrupt people. We are no longer the thieves. We are no longer the ones that will be seen as bad. We will now be seen as good. A lot of times, Chinese products were seen as substandard, but they changed their narrative.
Yes.
We can't change their narrative.
Yes.
We just need that firm leadership.
I hear you. It starts with the love for the country, which is absent in most people. There is no love for the country. So if you have love for your country, you put your country's interests first before your personal interest. Now we have leaders who put their personal interests first. When certain bills that favor them come, under 24 hours, the bill is signed and passed immediately. When bills that will favor the other people come, the common people they are supposed to be serving, the bills will take a long time and kicked out most times.
Yeah. He also mentioned something about nepotism, and I just want to mention that, especially when I tell people growing up in Jos, I know a lot of things about Igbos, Yorubas, Hausas, everybody was just like a melting pot, and we love and respect everyone. But the thing, what has happened now, and I think is what's happening, we've made mistakes, and when you make a mistake, we have people who feel that they are being sort of ostracized in our communities, in our country as a whole, either for their ethnicity or their religion. And when people have committed a crime, if you do not bring them to book, whoever they are, or whatever side that they are on, people would feel, that there's injustice.
But the truth is that tomorrow is our Democracy Day, and
tomorrow is handover.
Democracy
Day is now June 12th.
That's true. Democracy Day is June 12th. So we'll still discuss.
We've been marking it, at a low-key level.
Yeah, so we are doing Democracy Day in June 12th. So we'll still discuss this again. So we'll bring it back then. democracy, but let us just reflect on this issue of democracy in our country and if it's working for us. Let's go on a break. When we come back, it's Tuesday. We'll discuss emotional safety in children. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So yesterday, we touched on some issues that concern children. In continuation, we'll be looking at how our children can be emotionally safe. Joining us on the show is the CEO, Strap and Safe Foundation, Bolanle Edwards. Welcome to the show, madam.
Good morning. Thank you
Good to
very
have
much.
you again.
Thank you.
So, emotional safety for children. I know it's important for us to let our children be. Yesterday, we had an 18-year-old kid who was talking about the fact that you allowed the kids to express themselves at home, that helped him in his own house, gave him that confidence.
Absolutely.
But my first question to you is, how important is it for your children to be emotionally stable?
Very important. We've discovered that a lot of misbehavior that we see amongst children actually developed from the fact that some of them are quite not so emotionally stable. Yes, and this doesn't happen overnight. It's probably something that's been going on for quite a while. And parents kept living in denial that, you know, like they'll say, she'll be fine. And it degenerates so badly that the child becomes a bully at school. The child snaps at every opportunity or anything that happens. The child is beating another student, or the child even becomes suicidal at some point and things like that. And we all know what's going on right now. Children wanting to commit suicide and things. So for a child to be emotionally stable, the environment has to be very conducive. You have to validate that child all the time. And for parents as well, or whoever is taking care of those children, you also need to be in a situation, in a very stable emotional status, so that you are in a position to also be able to bring up that child and parent that child properly.
You see, I get really confused when you experts start talking about this thing, because I'm confused. When you say validate a child, my little son wee-weed last night, and I spanked.
How old is he?
He's 5 years old. He wee-weed, and I said, listen, always wee-weed. Now, my own part is that I didn't ensure he wee-weed before he went to bed last night. Because usually I actually forgot, because I was the baby, I forgot. So this morning, they had to take out the mattress because he slept. And I spanked him.
Maybe he had a lot of water to drink
yesterday. I'm not going to justify that. I'm going to spank him.
Yesterday was Children's Day. Maybe he had drinks.
You gotta be kidding me. So you say validate. When you say validate, I don't understand what that means. You goof, you get spanked.
There's a place for spanking. There's that place for punishment. You can't rule it out. Take it out totally. Okay. There's some children, especially when a child continue doing the same thing over and over again. Right. I mean, it's not cool. Okay. But if at any time that child does it, and you're like, okay, don't worry, we'll take care of it, it's okay. And they take out the mattress, and he does it the next day, and does it another time, and it continues that way. I mean, no validation. You might have to really call him to order and have a conversation.
How do we draw the line between validating a child and making the child feel entitled, being the child. Just pampering that child. Oh, you are wonderful, you're beautiful, you're the best.
Oh, it's okay.
You're being creative. You are the best in the world, you are the star.
It's okay to jump from the couch down, it's all right.
And then they break leg. So how do we now ensure that this child doesn't feel like I'm head and shoulder above every other person, and there's this air of entitlement because the parents have done a good job of building and validating.
I would try. I would also take you back to like 15 years back, 50 years when some of us 20 years back when we were all growing up. You can definitely not compare our own parenting or our parents' parenting towards us with those children. What's called validation back then? There's nothing like that. You receive spanking even way ahead before you do anything. So there's nothing like validation. You are beaten when you do something wrong, and you're beaten even when you are right. So, but now things are changing. Things have also changed. A child that you beat all the time thinks that you're abusing him or her. What happened to you? Oh, my mommy beats me. Oh, my daddy talks to me, Ashley. Oh, does that. Oh, blah, blah, blah. So really, we have to move with times. It's not like we are pampering. It's not like we are letting down our guards. And it's not like, okay, we're not going to punish when it's time for you to punish. But the needful and the most important thing to do is that that child is being scolded at any point. Once the child goes wrong, oh, what you did is wrong. And if he needs to be spanked, you do the spanking bit of it. Now, why are we talking about emotional safety? We have discovered that children are now beginning to, they're reading a lot. They see what's going on out there. The world is just at the tip of their finger. And they're comparing notes with their friends in school and everywhere they go. And they're looking at their parents, watching closely. What is my mother doing? What's my father doing? What is the internet also saying concerning children, upbringing and parenting and things like that? All of this put together. When they sit down and they're like, oh, no, okay, so they don't beat me in school, I get home and mommy beats me. They feel they're being abused.
Yeah.
There is an abuse going on there. And, you know, there's this psychological, I'm not a psychologist, but yesterday when we had a debate, we had a psychologist who spoke and he was talking about the neurons that work, you know, why children behave the way they do, why a child can decide to be sad or when a child decides to be happy. And, you know, when those things are going on there in the brain, you really cannot determine, you can't go into that child's brain.
So, you mentioned just now that back in the days we were smacked and spanked at any little thing. 15 years back, 20 years back, we all grew up under that circumstance. But did it make us better people? We are still the most corrupt in the world.
Really?
This is the generation that we're spanked.
Question I've also asked
It's not about
as well.
spanking.
It's not about spanking.
Yes, it's about connection. But my question is, how do you get to a point where you can connect? Because I have a son who cries easily.
Okay.
At any point,
Very
the
teary.
mommy is going to the market, he's crying,
tearing.
and the daddy is tearing. So they tell him, don't cry, your boy, you shouldn't cry, your boy. And I tell them, leave him to cry.
let
So
him cry.
how do I build that safe? Because I feel he's safe with me.
He is safe.
Yes, but a lot of people around, he's not safe with them. So he can be a good boy when I'm not there. But when I'm there, he shows me his real self. So how do you create that safe
I think
space?
you're kind of, is it very emotionally attached to you?
Yes, he is.
Aha.
To both parents.
So at some point, it's very good. There's nothing bad about it. But I think at some point, you should also have some degree of detachment. Because what happens if you're not going to be around for the next 3-4 months? It's just going to be so recluse. It's going to go into its shell. And he wouldn't want to interfere with anyone or won't want to interact with anyone. So it's very important for him to be able to socialize when he should socialize. So that not at every point in time he breaks
Let me take
down.
this call. Pastor Amos, morning. Are you there, sir?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, I've been listening to your program for a very long time.
Yes, we know, sir.
And I want to contribute to the first lady that just talk about the democracy in our society, 20 years in the democracy.
Right.
You see, we need to talk to our leaders. Our leaders, they are not helping in this country. They are not helping at all. There are some projects they will give to the contractor, they will not monitor those projects. Those are the things that people will see. They will say, they will start mob against our leader. They will go and share the money. They will use the money for their own pocket. They will carry the money to the foreign country. You see, our leaders have a long way to go in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Leaders are the people anyway.
Yeah.
Let's go back to you.
So my question is, I have a son who's, I would say, in my opinion, emotionally stable. But I noticed that every time he changes class, a new school year, it takes him a time to adjust. I want to know what I can do to help prepare him better for changes.
Okay. Emotional stability actually takes a lot of, it's huge, it's large. Some children get very emotionally unstable when they change school. You're even talking about classroom now. When you move from an environment, maybe you move houses from one place to another. Some of them as well, when the friends change, or the weather changes. You know, in the abroad, they will tell you that this weather is so depressing.
Oh, God.
And you're wondering what's depressing about the weather, but what is going on, and he just chose to say that. For him, already he would have to start preparing his mind that, you know what, you're moving from this class to that class, and you're going to have to really sell it to him to make it look like it's going to be more exciting the way he is right now. So that whatever expectation he has is not disappointed at the end of the day. So when he gets to that class, he can cope with his new friends.
Let me take this call from the UK. Morning, are you there? What is our foreigners are calling us today? Morning, are you there?
Is there a holiday?
Yes, hello, good morning.
Morning. Go ahead, please, Sonny.
Yeah, it's my first time caller.
Welcome to the show.
I did call yesterday. But before we went bed.
Okay.
Any of you on the panel, can you just get my number, get in touch with me? Because I want to come down to Nigeria. At least I want to give a little bit of help to those privileged, those people who don't have anything.
Producers, please get his number.
Immediately.
So we'll get our producer to get your number and call you up. So maybe talk can attend to you matter. Okay, now I have a daughter.
Okay.
She's very emotional and
Mushy, mushy.
Mushy, mushy. She'll come and just kiss me, and I'm like,
Oh, kiss her back.
I'm not that. I'm just not.
My son does that. A girl is even okay. My own son does that.
And she'll kiss me, and I'm like, it's okay. I know you love me. It's all right. Step back. You know? And she just wants me to continually validate her and say that she's pretty. And I'm like, sometimes it's just tiring.
Yeah, you should embrace it. There are children who are looking for such warmth, and they're not getting it, and they will go look for it outside. So even if you're not in that, that environment, okay, just fake it.
Yeah.
You know, you're tired. You just fake it. And my son, I can't count how many times he hugged me yesterday. Oh, mommy, tight, very tight. Then he comes, he gives you a peck on him. He gives you a peck, and what he's doing to his dad, like, stop it, you're not a girl, stop it.
I think we need to prepare. What Mariam raised is a very major issue, and most kids are going to be moving into another class
in September.
Every first term, every first assessment in every first term is always a struggle.
Very important.
Our grades always drop. Except for cases where I see exceptional teachers that took out time to bond, but we can't expect the teachers to do the job. So as parents, I believe that building that emotional stability would mean that we prepare our children by letting them know that you need to make new friends. These people you'll be in class with, they might not like you, they'll put you in a different chair that you like. So you start making them understand that there'll be many changes. So when they are confronted with the changes, they are aware that mommy already told me that people will be funny.
So the mind is prepared.
Foreigner on the line. Forget I'm the UK people. Good morning, are you there? Hello? Oh, sugar. Sorry about that. Yes.
So, you know, Topper mentioned something about, was it you, about validation when you tell them you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're... how do you say it in such a way that it doesn't get into their head? Because I grew up where nobody told me I was beautiful.
Same here.
Nobody told me I was intelligent. Nobody told me anything. I found out myself. And I started telling myself.
Yourself.
You know, but I didn't want to raise my kids under that atmosphere. So I tell them, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're intelligent. So how do I do it in such a way that I don't make them start feeling proud?
It's okay for you to do that. It's healthy for the children. It's also healthy for you as well.
Okay.
But children being children, I will tell you that the statistics of the formative years between the 0 and 1 years of age, the child's cognitive, talk about emotional, everything built, about 50% of it had already been built up.
Exactly.
By the 3rd year, you're having about 80% already built up. So at that time, depending on the age, you know, that the brackets where your child falls in, it's very important that that child understands why you're doing it, and at the end of the day, what does it do to that child? At some point, that child will be able to really separate. It won't feel proud. I'm telling you, I can tell you for truth.
Let me take this call. Good morning, are you there?
Yeah, good morning, Mariah.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah. I want to talk about the issue of democracy, whether democracy is good for us or autocratic.
Go ahead, it's your view, let it count.
So, the truth of the matter is that we miss something here. For any nation to grow, there's a need for a leader that is strong enough to hold power for a very long period of time. And a typical example of such is Singapore. When Lee Kuan Yew took over Singapore, he made sure that he ruled for 30 years or more. And he was able to instill discipline and bring that growth that Singapore needs. And that works mainly because Lee Kuan Yew was a very, very honest person to his nation.
Thank you very much. We have to cut that up because that's not our focus. But I think you're very correct because some people argue that's the reason why Obasanjo wanted a 3-term because he felt that, listen, I need to start something and then continue it. But it's a conversation towards June 12th, so we'll bring it back. So we'll talk and discuss it towards that June 12th.
Yes.
Let's round up on this conversation.
Yes, final question, which is something that bothers us a lot. We just seem to have a lot of young people struggling with suicide and suicidal thoughts. We have students in university who are doing well academically, who are passing exams, who have both parents, father and mother, and their needs are being taken care of, and they're still struggling. What's happening?
There's somewhat, like I said, it's something that doesn't just develop overnight. There's a build-up.
Exactly.
And if you go back to the stories of those children, they probably would have written something in a diary to say that, you know what, maybe my father loved my sister more than myself, or I like to, or they don't tell me I love you, or things like that, little things like that. They're very brilliant, yet they're not very socialized. They don't socialize. Right. They're A students. They're doing very well.
Unfortunately, we have to.
They're not doing the right thing.
So really, we'll definitely continue to have this conversation. We can't end this conversation because kids today, lots of them are committing suicide, and we need more help as parents.
Absolutely.
So you can't get a degree in parenthood, but I think praise for where and co, and you need to start putting together some kind of a certificate curriculum to ensure that you have.
Before we
have to run off. Unfortunately, that's we are running off. When we come back, as I said, it's Tuesday. We're discussing thyroid. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. To Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So a report has it that thyroid is the second most common endocrine disease after diabetes. Research also has it that it's more prevalent in women, with over 70% of the victims being female. Joining us on the show is the founder of Thyroidism Awareness and Support Initiative, Iroma Ofotube. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you so much.
It's always good to have you. We've had you before on the show.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
So you can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Okay, so we've talked about thyroid before, and it's always important to always bring these issues up every year because people still need the information. So for those who have no idea what thyroid is or thyroid disease is, what is it and what is your initiative doing to bring awareness to how to care if you're diagnosed with thyroid?
Okay. Let me start by saying that thyroid gland is a small gland that is actually located at the base of the neck. Everybody has a thyroid gland, and is just like you said, it's because of the role it plays in the body. So it's every tissues, cells, organs, and the entire system of the body is connected to the thyroid to function optimally. You talk about the reproductive system, the excretory system, the brain, because when disease starts, when the thyroid starts having problems, it wrecks the whole body. So what we do is to create awareness on thyroid health, how to maintain a good thyroid health, and also sensitize people on the dangers and the risk of the diseases, and what to expect and where to go and what to do when you're confronted with any of these symptoms. And another thing is that because of the important role it plays, it's very important that when someone is confronted with any strange feeling, you first of all go and see your doctor. And because when it starts having problems, this gland is actually the master gland of metabolism. Yes.
So some people would have a growth and they call it goiter, and I want to know if it has anything to do with thyroid.
Yes. A goiter comes in different ways because thyroid disease we're talking about has different types. It could be hyperthyroidism, it could be hypothyroidism, it could be just that normal, your thyroid gland levels, the values are normal, but the person is attacked on the thyroid gland. That is an autoimmune thyroid disease where the immune system fights the thyroid gland and it attacks, it begins to cause inflammation on the thyroid gland.
So the goiter is the inflammation of the thyroid,
thyroid gland. Which could be caused by either someone that has number one thing we have to note is that goiter is not the disease. The disease is it's called thyroid disease because goiter, someone that has thyroid disease could, any type of thyroid disease, it has various types. And one common symptom all of them have is this presentation of this goiter. Clinically, physically. But there are other internal symptoms that have to do with losing weight, weight loss, weight gain. Someone that has hyperthyroidism can start, like me, I'm a survivor of hyperthyroidism. Yes.
So that meant you were losing weight?
Losing weight, I was shrinking, palpitations, anxiety. This depression we're talking about, thyroid disease can be an underlying cause of depression. Yes, when someone has hypothyroidism, it causes depression.
So let me one of the things we've had is the fact that in this country, when you complain of something is hurting me here, they give you antibiotics, basic stuff, But the point I'm trying to make is that the average diagnosis is malaria, typhoid, and all that. So there's a possibility that the issue would have progressed for a while before it is detected. So what should you look out for as a person? What would you undergo to know that, okay, maybe this is thyroid?
Okay. That's what I was trying to explain, that there are different types.
Right.
And it's not everybody that has thyroid disease presents goiter.
Right.
Physically. You can only detect whether someone has goiter through ultrasound scan. Some people, when you look at it, you see it flat, but when the person is diagnosed of thyroid disease, instead that person to go for a scan, the scan will detect the inflammation inside there. Then, let me say, hyperthyroidism has its own unique symptoms. Why hypothyroidism has its own. And both of them work on the opposite side.
Could you tell us the difference?
Okay. Like hyperthyroidism, when you have hyperthyroidism, you can be losing weight, palpitations. Hyperthyroidism is just simply the production of thyroid in your body is excess, and it subjects to your body to overactivity. So everything, your digestive system, when you eat, even your appetite will increase. But after eating immediately, you feel like going to the toilet and coming back, you eat again, but you keep shrinking because your body is overactive. And it causes infertility, point to note, because most of the people that have experienced it, hyperthyroidism, because of that overactivity, it may not allow conception. Even if it does, there is tendency to, for the person to have miscarriage.
We need to know some of the causes so that you can avoid getting that disease. Is this something that is avoidable?
Okay, it is, yes, it's avoidable if you embark on a very, healthy diet and lifestyle.
Everything, that's where we end up.
Yes, because, for this thyroid, it's very, very important. Because this thyroid is small but mighty. It's very important that we take note of that. Healthy diet plays an important role in maintaining a good thyroid health. Because when you eat, there are some people that don't monitor what is good for them. There is a stage in your life when you don't have to eat what appeals to your taste, but what is good for you. There are some people that like, when you binge on all these sweet things, sugar, carbonated drinks, processed food, processed carbohydrates, and there are foods that are endocrine disruptors. Just like we just learned now, that is the second most common endocrine disease. So they go hand in hand with diabetes.
You see, when you say this food eating habits, I mean, I cringe because I love food, and I think I'm gradually getting to that age where I need to start monitoring, because I can eat anything. Like, I don't care. I eat what I like. But I'm gradually getting to the point where I think I need to start taking it easy.
And you have to start telling yourself the truth that you really have to do it. And another thing, the thing is that most people believe, if I don't eat this gari, what else can I do? What else can I eat? If I don't eat this amala. But when you research, you find out there is still something that is healthier. you can use to substitute that will supply you all
the
you
nutrients.
need.
Okay.
So a few weeks back, like 2 weeks ago, I had the full body checkup and it included doing the thyroid test. And I was a bit apprehensive because, you know, whenever you're doing those kind of checks, it's like you don't feel anything is wrong with you and then suddenly you find out something is wrong. So I was happy about the results. However, what I realized is that most people did not understand what the effects thyroid has, if your thyroid is balanced, what effects it has on you. So like you've broken down hyper, you've broken down hypo, but your balanced thyroid does something to you. And there's some particular foods that would help you maintain that balance, specific. I know that if I drink ginger, it will clear my throat. So what are the foods that will encourage your thyroid to function well? Specific meals that we can put into our food now.
Okay, the meals, number one is when you want to use salt. There's not everybody that has thyroid disease that his or her own was caused by iodine deficiency. Okay. But it is very good that we use a very good iodized salt, sea salt, precisely. Look for it. You find it in all these health shops. Then seafood, like Mariah said, that the stage in your life where you have to start on doing some things and start doing some things.
Seafood is bad?
Very good.
Oh, it's good.
It's very
I
good.
love me some prawns.
Yay. Crayfish.
Very good in maintaining a good thyroid gland. And what don't you do? You don't eat all this if you can avoid processed carbohydrates.
Processed, like
semo. Processed, yes.
Semo is processed.
Yes. If you can avoid them. And from one of our profs that I went from, you know, people that eat tubers too much, tubers, cassava, all this, you know, our cassava contains cyanide, and it's not too good for the thyroid gland. Yes.
No fufu.
Okay, I also want yam is good. Powder yam is good.
Powder yam is okay, but not, you know, all these things, one has to be very, very moderate in taking them. Okay. And another thing I want to maintain, oil that we use. See, let me tell you, most of this oil you see in the market, they put in the bottle and all, or they tell you it's heart friendly and all. Thyroid disease has a lot, you know, affect the cardiac health. So we have to be very, very mindful of it. Because someone that has hypothyroidism, most of the times, you know, it induces even high blood pressure.
Is it hereditary?
It is. There are people that, yes, one of the causes, there are people that it runs in their families. So
I'm interested in what you said earlier about depression, because that's the new thing now. Everybody's talking depression, I'm depressed and all that. So since this issue, since there's a possibility that thyroid disease can lead to depression, I'd like you to shed more light on that. Maybe because that's what people are actually going through and they don't know and they just feel depressed and the whole world's coming down.
You know, thyroid disease is a hormonal disease. Right. Just like a pregnant woman can become naggy and so irritable, so can a thyroid patient be anxiety. Like during my own time, I can pick quarrel with you in my office, you know, fight with my boss and talk to him anyhow. After I will not be asking myself, am I the one that did this thing now? But the people around you, that's why we talk to bosses, offices, corporate organizations. You may have a thyroid patient and she starts acting as if he has a lot of mental issues associated with it.
Before you give that, so how to go on
depression you talked about is mostly associated with someone that has hypothyroidism when the production is low and everything about that person becomes low and sluggish. Do you understand? You can abuse that person and tell that person you are too slow, you are dull, you are this. It happens to children too. Yes. That's why recently what we are pushing for is newborn screening, because many people that have undiagnosed thyroid disease, it has tendency of
having children.
Yes. So the first thing we do, we are pushing, policy push now to start introduce this newborn screening. Yes.
So that when you know
from childhood.
From childhood.
Wow. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll see how we can manage a situation where a child has been diagnosed with this hypothyroidism. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Welcome back. So in talking about thyroid, in the case where a child or even a person has been diagnosed with either hypo or hyper, how do you manage these diseases?
Okay, first of all, you know, all these thyroid diseases, they have their peculiar or unique treatment options.
Okay.
That is why if I have hyperthyroidism, you have hypothyroidism, and we both have goiters, you don't have to say, oh, let me know the name of the drug that the doctor. You know, you have to really, first of all, meet your doctor and, if possible, get an endocrinologist that will manage your situation. First of all, start from the treatment. As for a newborn, it's better to handle it at that very time, because if not handled very well, the child can be, you know, confronted with all these developmental issues like cerebral palsy, all these brain problems. It can cause it if it's not treated. So the first thing they will do is to meet the doctor. Doctor will immediately diagnose the kind of disease the person has and begin to handle it head on.
So I've heard of iodine, and sort of associated with the treatment of thyroidism or the lack of it in your body that causes it. How does that work?
That's why I said
because people market all sorts of products and say it's fortified.
I've just said something now. You have to get your doctor's advice, because all these thyroid diseases have their own unique causes. So all the treatment are tailored towards the specific need of that patient.
Oh, during the break, you were talking about all the cabbage and how those generally disturbs your endocrine production or something. So can you explain that so that people can know if you're already feeling any symptoms concerning?
Yeah, there are some foods that are endocrine disruptors. One of them are foods that contain gluten, like whole wheat flour. All these pastries, spaghetti, Indomie noodles, and all that, they are endocrine disruptors. So if you want to live healthy and maintain a good thyroid health or thyroid gland, you have to stay away from all this food. They are not good for you. Or maybe when you have the risk factor, it runs in your family, you start early to avoid all these foods, to make sure that that's scourge.
If any family member has it, just stay away from it.
You have to start. And another thing is test. You have to be testing yourself.
How often?
Yes, once in a year, you can go and do your comprehensive test that includes a thyroid function test. That way, you can always assess yourself to know when something like that, especially people that are already predisposed to it, including diabetic patients, because all of them are in the same endocrine.
Right. Take a few tweets.
Yes, so Mr. Adebaya says most people are afraid to go for a checkup due to money issues or other beliefs that they are fine. The truth is we have to be attentive to our body and once in a while go for a full body checkup. It saves lives.
How expensive is treating and managing thyroid?
It depends on what you mean by how expensive, because it's not everybody. My own may not be as severe as your own. Even the goiters, there are some goiters that are toxic. Some are not. Yes.
Okay, we have to round up. I think
you talked about the organization.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yes. In Thyroidism Awareness and Support Initiative, what we do basically is to create the awareness, because in Nigeria, in Africa at large, the awareness is very, very low. And we want to reach every nook and cranny to make sure that this awareness, especially as it concerns women, because it causes a lot of things. We are talking about abuse. We are talking about, I know a lot of people that I followed up after their treatment, they took in and had twins and had children, whereas they've been declared infertile for a while. So our women should be very, very, very.
So your initiative is going out there to let people know.
To let people know, and also when we harvest those victims, we try to channel them to the right place to go for.
Okay, so we just go, we'll check you out and get more people to know about your initiative. But I think one thing we can leave this show with is understanding that every thyroid disease is different. You can be diagnosed differently. So your own has to be tailored to your own disease. So get a specialist who can properly diagnose you and then give you what you need to manage it. Don't just say, oh, Auntie did that.
I can even have the same hyperthyroidism
as somebody else.
But we're not running at the same values.
Exactly.
My dosage may not be even.
So don't listen to Sister Clara is using cabbage.
Yes.
Abi Uncle Kinigo is using milk. Don't go and get your own specialty if you have that disease. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up that, but definitely your initiative will keep the information out there. If anybody has that disease, they can contact your NGO to assist them. That's all we can take on the show. Tomorrow is our live audience and our 6th year anniversary, so come celebrate with your view. See you then. Bye-bye.